Hello and a very good afternoon to you from Maristella High School. We're at the primary part of the huge complex here in the slightly northern part of Singapore, where we are now at the semi-final stage of the Senior Boys Division North Zone Table Tennis Semi-Finals. My name's Shazad Haq. With me, Glenn Mascarenas.
And I'm Glenn Mascarenas. Hi, Shazad. It's good to be back in the seat and covering what we love best.
Absolutely. Looking forward to all the very best table tennis, part of the National School Games. Some great coverage over the next few weeks. And today we have
Qihua. I'm playing Chongfu. And we've got a few interesting tidbits about the players and their idols as well, which we shall reveal to you in just a little bit. So it's been interesting to know that some of the youngsters really very intense when it comes to their knowledge of the sport and also what the sport brings to the table. We had a few surprising answers that came our way earlier. So we're going to start off with our first two players, and one of them, of course, is a special player.
Yeah, absolutely right, Glenn. This young man, we had a chat with him earlier. The player from
Chongfu.
Chongfu. Louis Xiong is in charge, playing against Ng Hong Yuan of Qihua. Now we can tell you that the road here has been pretty good so far for Chongfu, unbeaten so far, Glenn.
Absolutely, they've had a very good test of their skill that was put on display, and they won all three of their challenges so far. As far as Chongfu go, on the other hand,
yeah, Chongfu
have won all three.
Yeah,
but
Chongfu
with Qihua, they've had one little obstacle in the path.
They did. In fact, when we look at the results for Qihua, they actually lost their first game in straight matches, 5-0 against Catholic High School, but bounced back, thrashed Woodgrove 4-1, and then had a bit of a tough time against Montfort Junior School. They finished second in their group to Catholic High School, who are going to be in the other semi-finals. And then, Glenn, when we look at Chongfu's results.
Absolutely. They had a very good win over Maristella High School. They beat them 3-2. Then they beat Palm View as well, 5-0. And they got the better of Nanchao Primary School 5-0 as well. So they are currently in first position
in the preliminary. Yep.
In their preliminaries, and it's going to be interesting to see whether Qihua, which has been a bit of a comeback act, whether they can take on Chongfu and actually stand up to them and even beat them. Let's not forget, we did mention that they lost their first, Qihua lost their first challenge versus Catholic, but then to bounce back means they were just getting warmed up.
Now let's just remind you of the rules today. Each match is played to 11 points, unless of course you get to 10-all and then you go deuce and win by 2 clear points. Each match is made up of the best of 5, and then you move on to the doubles next. So there's going to be 3 singles and 2 doubles in the tie, but it's best of 5. So as long as someone hits 3 wins, then the tie or that particular match is over.
Absolutely. But one very key point to remember, Shazad, is that you just mentioned, the fact that if it's 10-all, then it's of course deuce. You're expecting a rally today.
Well, this is the nature of table tennis, right? It can be very, very quick. Look at the height difference as well between these two. Well, immediately we see the styles of these players. And it's a pretty decent start here for Chongfu.
That's Louis Xiang, who's currently in the lead.
He's racing away, 3-point lead here, and like I said, he's got a big height advantage over his opponent. He's 4 points on the trot.
Now let's make that 5. Very interesting that both the players actually do opt in for a very similar serve. They do use backspin, and it's a slight bit of variation might actually change the outcome of this game.
There's a fair bit of height above the net at the moment.
Absolutely. So 6-1.
He's cruising at the moment, Lewis. Gone on the backhand there. That's been a little bit of a problem with this young man, Hong Yun.
I think the problem with Hong Yun is still actually trying to find his rhythm. If you look at Louis, just looking a lot, more comfortable in his position. And we finally see a change of pace.
Yeah, big change of pace. That one much faster, and the longest rally we've had so far. But again, Lewis has won that very comfortably, and he's on game point.
Absolutely, and that was pretty quick, if you ask me.
And there you have it. First game has gone to Lewis Xiong, and he's won that very comfortably indeed. 11-1 in double quick time.
I think just one key aspect for young Hong Yun, just finding it slightly difficult to return that serve. But I mean, that does come in time. Playing spin has not always been the easiest, and it can change as the years go on. So
he can't be overawed by the situation.
No, he shouldn't be. Absolutely not.
At the end of the day,
not.
They are competing for their schools, but you can't get overawed.
Yeah,
it's got to be just taking it in stride.
Yeah,
it's a young man here.
He's got to come back and enjoy this game.
Correct. He can't be demoralized.
I think just if he concentrates a little bit, Shazad, on that return of serve. See, that's the problem.
It's a really nice serve.
Yeah, it is. But that can be countered. And see, that's exactly what I meant. So he's finally started to get back into it. He just needs to get his confidence up a little bit, I think. Yeah. Just shake in a little bit.
A couple of points on the board might just help his confidence.
Yep.
Unfortunately, there are a few unforced errors on his part.
I think what happens in most cases, Shazad, when you're representing school, and well, he's got a lucky point there straight off the edge. But
he'll take whatever he can get right now.
I think when you're representing school, and tends to be, at that tender age, you've always got the brickbats that follow, not from anybody else, but actually from your own peers. And I think it's very important to keep your calm. So he's starting to get a bit of confidence back, and that's absolutely what we'd require in this game.
Lovely deep shot to the back of the table. Now this serve is actually proving a bit of a problem here for young man Hong Yun, because it's kicking up.
Yep.
And his return is nice and high, and then Lewis just puts it away.
It's just that return of serve, I think that's most important for Hong Yun. And there's a fair amount of topspin generated by Louis, and I think it tends to be difficult to play that, Shazad, when you're too close to the table. And I think that's really the key aspect. Maybe Hong Yun just to space himself out a bit more when the push, or after the push from Louis, that kind of would make a big difference. And he's got a point, so he's fighting back. It's now 6, or let's make that 7 to Louis and 3 to
This
Hong
is
Yun.
already a better.
It's absolutely a change.
Yeah,
big change.
It's giving him just that bit of confidence. You could just see Lewis, he immediately picks up the pace, doesn't he? He varies it quite well.
He does. I think the real key here is really the approach to the game, and Hong tends to play a game that involves more of spin. He's more defensive.
He's gone 2 up here.
Yep.
This is good for Chongfu.
But if you look at Louis and the game that he's playing, it's quite easy. He's got more of an attacking style. So everything you serve up to him and you serve it up a bit high, he's going to put that away, and that's I think what Hong Yun's coach and mentor will be trying to instill into him before he gets back into the next game. So very interesting to see. It's going to be the third game, very crucial one for Hong Yun, and can he come back? Well, I'd love to see him do that.
I would, and look, he has got a little bit better. Now, unfortunately, there isn't much room for improvement here because he has to win this next game or they're done.
Time isn't your friend.
No, that's true, but let's see. Now, one thing is Louis
that's a
will
good
go
start.
for it. Yeah,
that's a good start.
The first time he's taken the lead.
Yep. Well, he's got to keep the ball down, and I think that's exactly what his coach was telling him earlier. See, that's made a big difference. Because every time you pitch it up and there's a little bit of bounce, and that's what Louis waits for, to lap that up. And it's that return of the serve that's troubled him so much.
Yeah, this is encouraging. Encouraging. He went for it there.
Yep. But he is fighting back, which is a good thing.
Yeah, he's just showing a bit more fight in this, and I think that's encouraging. You can see his camp a little happier there.
So this one a much closer game so far. It's still 4-2.
What I'm noticing, Glenn, at the moment is very little movement. They're not in the ready position. They're sort of playing and then very static.
Absolutely.
And these are young kids, of course. They will learn all of this.
I think if you look back at any sort of contest, whether it's basically, tennis or table tennis or even a singing competition or karate where you have kumite and stuff like that, it's always the same thing. The first one breaks it in for everyone else. As you know, the nerves to overcome and who's thinking what, how are you going to get started, more pressure. Once you get into the second game, it's more free-flowing. It becomes a lot easier.
Well, it's about to end here, isn't it, for Hong Yan, because it is match point.
Absolutely.
For Louis Young.
And can Hong Yuan fight back? Delay that a bit, probably? Absolutely
And
not.
that's it.
So
The
that's,
tie is over.
That's
Hong Yan, unfortunately, a bit disappointed, the young man.
I think
he will learn.
I think he tried. Yeah, But what really matters in this contest is not about winning or losing at the end. It's about giving your best, and if you do that, that's the most key part. So, yeah, more power to Hong Yan, and congratulations to Louis for those straight wins.
Clinical, really clinical.
Absolutely.
From him. Showed some good variation, mixed it up nicely, and was the deserved winner. Disappointment for Hong Yan, unfortunately, but he will learn from this. He's a bit upset right now, and that's understandable.
Yeah,
and we wish him the best.
So we're going to move on to the next contest. The next contest, of course, just as I said, it's always going to be hard with your mates around, and well, in some cases, I think this bit of their schools cheering on their team members who are participating or currently in the midst of a contest. I think that's the most important part, and that really does help. I
totally agree with you. Yeah. And look, this is unusual because of what's going on with COVID. People are now watching and they're cheering on. Very warm welcome to all our viewers on Sport SG TV.
Yep.
We've got the first doubles match coming up for Qihua. We have Tan Seo-kok and Remus Lim up against Brandon Tan and Yang Hao Min. We had a bit of a chance to talk to Remus and Tan Seo-kok earlier, didn't we?
We did, absolutely. And we did find out from both of them that one of course plays a defensive game, and the other also plays a defensive game, that is Tan Seo-kok, who favors the backhand. It's very interesting to see because in an earlier conversation with the Chongfu lads, we did find out that their key point is attack. So it's going to be fairly interesting to see how they perform against lads who spin or blocking in defense.
Yeah, absolutely. That contrast in styles will be interesting. Even in that first match, there was definitely a contrast, wasn't it, where Hong Yan was certainly playing a very defensive style against the bigger Louis Xiang. As they just sort out the rackets and make sure that the bats rather, make sure that they all conform. So Tan Se-kok, 11 years of age. Hopes to play for Singapore one day, he says. He's been playing since primary 2. So Glenn said, a defensive player, likes backhand spin.
What's interesting about the two of them is that they've just got together recently.
Yes, that's
Tan
right.
Se-kok had a different doubles partner, and they've started playing together. So
and Remus, wearing the glasses on the right-hand side. 11, primary 5. Ma Long is his favorite. By the way, Ma Long seems to be the overwhelming favorite here.
he figures everywhere.
He does, absolutely right. He hopes to play for Singapore as well one day. Defensive player. Just started playing together, these guys, as you mentioned.
But for a minute, I thought you said, Ma Long hopes to play for Singapore. We'd welcome him with open arms.
Wouldn't it? Yes, absolutely. Ma Long, of course, one of the legends of table tennis.
It's a very interesting bit, Shazad, just looking back at the way table tennis has progressed and how technical it's become today. There's been an entire change in how the players actually get represented. Customized bats, as we used to call them, or rackets, as the federation would call them, customized with different materials, inserting carbon and the rubber, the glue, and a lot of these players have customized bats which are sold in the market, like Timo Ball. You do have Jano Wallner's old, bat style and the two different rubbers that are being sold. But Ma Long, his customized rubber is not revealed to the public. So you won't be able to buy an exact Ma Long bat because his rubber is treated differently. And that's quite unique. It's the most customized bat in the world. For the most customized player, I guess.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Look, technology has really shifted, hasn't it? And to the layman, it just looks like just a bat, but there's a lot that goes into it, the dimples and all that kind of thing.
I wonder
really
what
does
these
make a
lads really, favor, because I'm sure that some of them would love their bat to have more spin. Some would like it to have more speed or to generate, more anti-spin.
Yeah. Also, of course, depending on their style of play, whether they're defensive or attacking players.
And Chongfu, of course, did give us some very deep insights into the game, which we will talk about later when the lads come on. It was quite interesting to hear that from the next generation.
Yeah, it was enlightening, wasn't it, to hear how they look at table tennis.
Absolutely.
But of course, this is one of the more popular sports in Singapore, and one of the few sports that has garnered us medals at the Olympics. So of course it has gained in popularity, and what has also helped, and we'll be talking about him throughout. Oh, it's the Qihua boys who get off to a good start.
The lead by 1 point, and I hope they can keep that up. It's a good amount of spin that these guys can. Will trying to use the backspin, chop that just into the net. Just a little unnerved Qihua for the time being. They've gone a point behind now. And that's a lucky one.
They'll take that edge.
For sure.
Yeah, I was going to say that the news of Isaac Kwek becoming Singapore number 1, world number 1, excuse me, in the under 15 category just a few days ago, I think has really just
well, just a bit too much of spin in there, but I think if the Qihua boys find their composure, they could actually put up a fight here. It's now 4-all. Because if you do tend to see the Chongfu lads they're looking at more pace. They're looking at a bit more speed. They want to finish this as fast as they can. Yeah, we had a reserve there because of the net. Or the let, as we call it. But I have to say, Shaz, I think a key point to remember for most of these lads is your composure and basically your stance when you get into the game, and that dictates so much. And negotiating the spin has been an issue for most of the lads, which I think is one of the first things that really needs to be worked on when, just a word there to the coaches probably, just negotiating that spin for return of serve, at least for the first return. If you can get that back, you're pretty much, in the game. Came off in a rather speedy manner with that first win.
But again, encouraging signs there for Qihua.
Okay, time. Leave, bro. You're on leave, right, buddy? Hey, serve.
Okay, now second game here, and Qihua really got to turn it on. You can see the dependence on spin, defensive play here from Qihua.
And it's actually keeping them, up with the fight, but, chopping that back and the return against spin, they've struggled a bit with it, Qihua. At the same time, they've troubled Chongfu every time that they've, gotten a bit more spin into their shot, especially when they use the side spin. I've noticed the Chongfu lads then do seem a bit stumped to
Nicely dispatched there. There was an empty table. And that's being set up again. Easy one to put away.
Absolutely. It's 5 points too many, you think? Chongfu rather quickly.
They're cruising at the moment here, Chongfu. Yeah, the problem is when you are setting up a shot like that, it's easy to smash.
No, you don't want to pitch it up a bit too much, especially to an attacking player.
Yes.
This attacking players seem to love putting that ball away as soon. It's basically what they wait for, what they hunger for.
They are waiting for that. And you're seeing that they're trying to play that either a loop drive or a smash as soon as possible. Especially when there's any kind of height. And already it's 8-2, a big 6-point lead.
9-2.
And they're struggling here, Qihua.
Almost done there, almost. So, another game point. And that's finished in style.
Very nicely done.
Went for the slaughter, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, they played a similar kind of shots. They're waiting for those returns that are quite high up the net. And Qihua have to turn this around. Chongfu in the driving seat here.
Absolutely. It's 2 games, one more to go, and I think just the body language and was trying to figure out who the lads were talking to, and while Qihua do have their mentor or their coach talking to them and guiding them through, the Chongfu lads are being guided by their own teammate. And,
Okay, time.
That's a very good point.
it's right through. He's been advising all of them on, what to play, and it'll be very interesting to see him actually get.
Rather than a teacher or an
Absolutely.
No, that's he's the big star of that team, Li Kai-tie. That's a good observation there, Glenn.
It's no surprise that he's been drafted into the development of the Singapore juniors.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was interesting when we went over there to say, who's your star player? It's kind of a joke. They all, without a shadow, of a doubt, pointed at him.
And I think that's really team spirit, Shazad. The ability to share your secrets with your friends and your teammates. I think that's amazing. So right now, Chongfu 3 points ahead.
Yeah, easily put away again.
Qihua looking for a couple of answers. They've got decent serve, decent amount of spin. It's just when the game gets going, slight increase in pace, and that's where the two lads of Qihua, Tan Ser Kok and Remus Lim, have been struggling a bit. On the other hand, Brandon Tan and Yang Hao Ming have been very...
So they've called a timeout here, which of course you can do. And it's twofold, then, these timeouts. One is to spot something from the coach's point of view, as it's a tactical discussion. The other one is a strategy in order to break the momentum of your opponents, who, by the way, are racing away here with a 5-point lead, huge 5-point lead. So
I think I take the latter.
you think right now, just to break that momentum? Yeah, because I'm not sure what they can do at the moment. They're getting pushed back quite a bit.
Yeah, I think a few words and a bit of advice from their coach or their teacher, I think that really will make a difference and be interesting.
Time.
Let's see if that has had any impact here.
Because they were fighting back in the earlier two games, and in this game it's just been, well, a bit one-sided, and that's exactly what we saw. It's the first point.
Yep, it might have had a desired effect. Now, can they build on this? It's a good platform for them. Unfortunately, not at the moment. And they have now got a 6-point lead here. Chongfu, they are cruising. Easily put away, attacking that ball.
2 points more to go, Shazad. 2 points. And, well, that's the first time that the Chongfu lads failed to get that pass. Absolutely. Well, that's been their game, and we did find out earlier from the lads at Chongfu, most of them like to play an attacking game.
That's true. It's very stark contrast, isn't it, to Qihua?
Absolutely. And especially with the doubles that's on right now, and that's pretty much it.
And there you go, very
match.
straightforward. They've won the doubles comfortably in 3 straight games.
But I think Qihua are putting on a fight. They tried.
They are indeed.
And I'm sure they'll get stronger as time goes on. One key aspect that we've neglected about the Qihua lads and Chongfu is, I know that normally in the game, your height doesn't really matter that much, but the height differential here is quite a bit.
It's quite stark, isn't it?
And I think the reach for the Qihua lads has been a bit difficult when it comes to returning the shots.
Especially when Chongfu are playing very attacking style.
Absolutely.
And look who is coming on now for Chongfu. It's their star player, Li Kai-tie.
And it's also the star player of Qihua. Yeah. So it's quite interesting to see how these lads will go up against each other.
And interestingly, this is the first time we're seeing a slight height differential in favor of Qihua. Zhang Xiaochen.
Yes. And Li Kai-tie up against each other. They seem to be fairly well matched, but don't forget that Li Kai-tie was advising everyone else.
Yeah, he was kind of taking on that
On the
senior
strategy.
mentor role, which was really, really interesting at primary school level. It's not something you see very often, but they all look up to him. They all very much unanimously agreed he's the star player. Ma Long is his hero, as it is for Jiang Chao Chun
as well.
Yep, they both hope to play for Singapore.
Very interestingly, Shazad, while Zhang Xiaochen favors the forehand and an attacking game, Li Kaizhou also loves the forehand drive. So
yeah,
similar styles of play, I would expect.
I think we're going to have a much closer affair, though. Probably Li Kaizhou will go into this as the favorite, given that he's in the development squad. There's 14 of them. As I mentioned earlier, the news that Isaac Kwek, just a few days ago, is now the world #1 at under 15 level. A Singapore boy has brought immense pride, and there was certainly a buzz of excitement talking about Isaac Kwek and what he has done. It's putting Singapore table tennis on the map, and those rankings just came out just over a week ago, and he's of course saying he's delighted our last few years of hard work have paid off, and he said he hopes his achievements will inspire more juniors to join me in taking up table tennis and continue to elevate the standards in Singapore. And that's precisely what's going on here, because we were talking about him. He's a left-hander as well, by the way.
Isaac Kwek, marvelously balanced game. That's what he's got, and you know, you can put in any amount of hard work that you need to, but if you don't have that X factor, I think.
I'll tell you what, just the warm-up here compared to the other two warm-ups, very, very different. You can see they're playing the drives quite nicely.
You can see the changes coming.
Yeah, I think this would be very, very interesting, this one. Much closer affair. You can see already closing the face of the bat, which means that
just watching that wrist movement of the lads. There's a good bit of confidence in the way that they're playing.
Yeah, you can see that Li Kaijie in particular has got something about him, but so does Zhang Xiaochen. This is going to be a fascinating battle, and it's interesting that they were both put on as the third match in this tie.
I think it really makes sense for, you know, the two best players in each team to go up against each other. Because you're just going to see a one-sided game, which doesn't really make sense. You want to see a fight, and I guess this is going to be it.
I think it is, and I think perhaps Qihua have a chance here of getting a point on the board for the tie overall.
And very impressive, as we mentioned earlier, Shazad was talking about youngsters and, you know, their take on the game, and Li Kaijie saying what excites him about table tennis is the strategy. And there he goes with the first point.
Look at the stance. Look at the stance he's taking. And that's first point on the board for Zhang Xiaochen, but he's getting low down. He gets really low down. That's it. Good work from Zhang Xiaochen. He's made Li make an unforced error.
Just lobbed that a bit too far beyond the board. But as of now, the players equally matched, missing out on that smash entirely. Zhang Xiaochen, he will serve again. Kaijie looking for a quick finish, and he's got.
Yeah, he's looking to play the loop drives very, very quickly. He's giving himself plenty of room. He gets down low, can wind up, creates room for himself. You can tell he really is a cut above the rest here.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yep, he's playing those loop drives so well. An attacking player at the moment.
Don't pass the table.
I think he's got a good bit of control when it comes to using topspin. See, that's what he favors all the time. And yep, his stance, his wrist control, fairly strong. He's now changing the pace of the game. Started off as equals, but let's not put anything past Zhang Xiaochen.
Look at that lead. He's building up.
Back.
Yep, it's now cut to 4 points, but Zhang Xiaochen has really got to make his move now. He's only 4 points away, Li Kai-che, from taking this first game. And he's now on 8. But he's looking to attack at every single opportunity. And it's the sheer pace and power at the moment that's overawing Deng Xiaochun. Got to be careful of your returns, Glenn. We saw this earlier. When you're returning high, you know exactly what he's going to do. He's going to dispatch it.
Attacking players always wait for that, and
it's game point.
I think the only key to really tackling an attacking player is actually using a bit of spin, and the more you can spin it, the tougher you can use it. So that's the first game done, and he's won by a huge margin. Started off on an equal footing, actually.
It did. And look, there is something to work with there, I think, for Deng Xiaochun. But the difference is, and we will see this again when they come to the table, just see how Li Kai-che is getting down really low. And that gives him enough opportunity to wind his arm up and play those forward loop drives. And Deng Xiaochun is standing upright.
Game 2. Booster. Love off.
So we're on to the second game, and Li Kai-che just was stamping his mark on that rather early.
Emphatically, right? Well, you need all the luck you can get at the moment, and the unforced errors are a problem here at the moment for Deng Xiaochun. Again, just see what I mean, Glenn, by the posture, the stance taken by Deng Xiaochun. He gets much, much lower. In that case, he was just trying to push the ball.
How important is that maintaining that stance, which gives you, proximity to the table, and the fact that you can reach out for the shots. That's a fantastic shot.
Prime example of what we were just talking about.
Well done. Well done by.
And I think there's something here for Deng to take it to Li. It's because Li's so aggressive and goes for it.
Absolutely.
No harm in actually trying to match him up on that. But you've got to be careful of your own unforced errors.
Well, he does have a decent serve as well, Li Kai-che, besides his overall game.
Interesting, because you just saw what he was attempting to do there. Li Kai-che just thought he would vary the pace. He went a bit slower, then went for the kill, but he misjudged the shot. He's playing slow suddenly. And he's cleverly varying it up here.
I think he was trying to keep his errors in check as well. He's still in the lead by 3 points.
It's a slightly closer battle, this one.
Very rightly said, Shazad. A lot of variation in his game. He uses every form of spin, except I haven't seen too much of the backhand from him. But he did mention to us that his favorite is the forehand attack and the forehand drive. So,
and that's what he's doing. Because he's creating that space for himself. He always looks to get on the backhand. He's always playing towards the right-hand side of the table if he can. So
he gets down to actually, push towards that end.
Bit of backhand here for now.
That's decent control from Zhang, who's now 5 points behind. It's still a game point for Li Kai-che.
And he's taken it again pretty comfortably.
So that's the second game for Li Kai-che of Chongfu. And
if he wins the next game,
but I see this as progress.
Yeah.
The first game there was an entire difference in the point score, and now in the second game, you see that it's 11-5. So it's a change.
Yep, definitely.
You think he could fight back in the third game and actually win it?
It's tough because remember there's pressure now on this game coming up on not just Deng Xiaochun but also Qihua. If they lose that game, the tie is over because Chongfu would have won 3 matches already.
Absolutely.
So this is a lot of pressure riding in this game.
Whoever gets to 3 first. It could have been 3-1 as well, hopefully, but you know, you can't really say. There's still, well, this key game left.
That's probably one of the longest rallies we've had so far. And Zhang was just trying to force the issue. Went for the attacking shot.
And that's really what older players do, isn't it? You know, they keep pushing for a little bit, and then they finally go in for the kill. And I think that sort of thinking comes from players who are very experienced. So we did say that there was something special about this lad, and it certainly looks like it. A slight error there that gives Zhang a point. Li Kaizhou was smashing previous one into the net. Goes in for the serve. It's another point for Zhang, so it's now 2-all. Zhang Xiaoxie doing his best to stay in this game. And well directed cross-court finish there from Li Kaizhou this time. And that's where he's really caught Zhang Xiaoqie off guard. Well, sometimes it'll go your way, sometimes it just might not. So it's now 4-3, and a good chance here for Qihua to get back to the fight, stay in this game. They've got a bit of hope. And that was a bit tough to return.
5-3, it's much, much tighter.
A key quality, Shazad, of most younger players is they tend to stay close to the table. Even when it comes to, you know, chopping the backhand or, you know, the forehand, and they don't really like moving too far behind the table. But sometimes for those, you know, looping drives, those massive topspin shots that come in, you need that space to return it. And if you don't have that space, it's always going to be difficult.
Well, he's 4 points away from winning not only this match, but the tie here. Li Kaizhou.
Let's make that 3.
3 now. It's almost done, unless Zhang has something special here.
Oh, that's beautifully done.
That is what we're talking about. That forward loop drive. He plays that so well. Li Kaizhou.
And he loves doing it cross court because he knows that Zhang Xiaoqie is not going to reach it. Absolutely no time to get there. So it's pretty much
match point and tie
game,
point.
set and tie point.
Absolutely. And he wins it in style. Very nicely done by Li Kaizhou, who has dispatched his opponent wonderfully. And also goes up, shows a bit of respect to his opponent.
Very professional game
Brings
from him,
us to
actually,
the
if you
end.
ask me, Shazad. And I can see why he was, you know, included in that juniors development. He's got such a fantastic style of play. He pretty much knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how to draw the opponent in and how to finish it. So more power to him, and we do hope that we see a lot more of him, just as we see of Isaac Beck nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's definitely one to watch out for. Very impressive. Very impressive from Chongfu, who progressed to the North Zone Finals. Reminder, this year there are no nationals. Everything will be by zone, and that is it. So thank you very much for joining us in the first semi-final. We'll be back for the second semi-final a little bit later on.
Yep, do join us then.
Double like that now you can't take. Double cannot take. But then so double when you stand and chase it here. You need to stand up. So one more yeah. After 2-4. Okay.
Okay, well done, players. Okay, whatever the result, you're already in the top 4. Okay, so congratulate. Okay, it's a very good effort. Okay, consider that this year we can resume our games. Okay, we're already in the top 4. Okay, well done.
Yeah. Ready? Let me drop over. Why you cannot dismount the camera? Huh? It's on battery power, right? Why don't you dismount? Dismount and carry in your hand, huh? Come change this, lah. Everything already set already, huh?
Yeah, the doubles, these suppliers.
Check test 2. 2. 2, hey.
They'll play the winner of the next